Political cartoonist Zapiro is joining me in studio. It's that time of the year again where we take a look at his annual book. This one is called Roads Rage. Now, I don't want to make any of our little bookmarks fall out there, Zapiro. Thank you very much for coming in.
Great. Good to be with you again.
It's always a pleasure to see you, and I always have such a great time recapping the year through your books. Now, Roads Rage. Tell me, there's so many events happened this year. Why did you choose the Rhodes statue for the cover of the book?
Well, I mean, as I say every year when I talk about the books, I always want something that sort of encapsulates an aspect of the year. And this cartoon that it's based on, this Rhodes Rage, it was actually a Mail and Guardian cartoon, and it does show Makwele throwing the contents of the poo bucket at Rhodes, and then Rhodes kind of gets a fright and he falls back and you get the domino effect. And basically it's the colonial statues. Of course, the other ones, the real apartheid era statues, many of them have been dealt with 20 years ago, but it's the colonial issues that I think the Roads Rage people successfully brought into the conversation again. And that was the beginning of something. I didn't actually realize when I did this and I picked this cartoon to make into the cover. And by the way, Roads Rage came from another newspaper I work for, the Times. One of the people, Guy Jepson, came up with that as the headline for an article, and I thought that was a great title, and I asked him, so he's acknowledged in the book as well. But I didn't realize that by the time the book came out, the whole thing would seem almost as if it was, today's book. Because sometimes things can get left behind a little bit in the months afterwards. But of course, with the Fees Must Fall, everything came back in a lot bigger than the Roads Must Fall thing. And Roads Must Fall was important and very interesting and fascinating, still with us. But the Fees Must Fall was massive and incredibly powerful. And I think the most energizing thing that's happened in certainly this year, and for a long time in South African politics. I mean, this is really, really something. It's the bringing together of a lot of forces that are against, some of the excesses of the government, that are again recapturing some of the grassroots spirit. And there's a lot of very important stuff that's come out with Rhodes, with the Fees Must Fall thing and what's happened with it. And I think the government is having to sit up and take notice. Along with that, you have people like, you have Malema's March, and you have what's happening in the trade unions. You've got the kind of puppet stuff still happening in the so-called tripartite alliance that Motlanthe quite rightly says doesn't exist anymore. But outside of that, you've got the trade union. So you've got these sort of three forces now, plus the social protest make that four. Of ordinary communities. So yeah, all very big stuff, and something of that seems to reside in that image.
Now, both the Rhodes Must Fall and Fees Must Fall movements were something that were really brought to life by the students of the country. Tell me, what does that tell you about South Africa and where it's going?
Yeah, it's really, really great to see. I mean, I think somewhere during that week, I was asked by some people who I think expected me to say, I hope they behave themselves and stuff like that. And I was saying, wow, I mean, by the end of the week, I think a lot of people had sort of appropriated those ideas. Even people who'd been against it, they kind of went with the flow. But for many of us who were involved at some level in anything from, well, in my case, the UDF, the United Democratic Front in the 80s, I mean, that sort of bottom-up movement, that kind of egalitarian social movement, I mean, it's really, really powerful. And this is capturing some of that. And I thought the students, with the exception of some of the people on the fringes, some of the people who co-opted, some of the ANC people who were bussed in to kind of sort of take over and all that, I think in many instances, students behaved themselves very, very well and really pushed very hard and incredibly got their demands met, certainly on the fees issue for the moment, and then on some of the other issues about workers and whether they're insourced or outsourced, that sort of thing. I thought they did that incredibly well, and I think it's very exciting.
It was absolutely spectacular to watch, and I think exciting is a really great word to describe it. I think exciting times on the South African political front.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.